It's in the game.
No doubt flying high from their famous win against Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle United will be looking to carry that on. In today's live matchup, they face Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium, one of Eddie Howe's old stomping grounds. Good afternoon, welcome to the seaside. Newcastle United come here today on cloud 9 following an emphatic and memorable win in match day 1 of the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, but it's back to the serious business of the Premier League for them as the world of football doesn't stop even for a moment. But there's no time for complacency here at Newcastle United. Keep on playing. Don't worry about the goals conceded. That's what Eddie Howe has been saying over Newcastle's failure to obtain a clean sheet all season long. And, well, it might continue today. But where is the ceiling for this Newcastle United now that they've beaten the champions? We're probably still a bit too early in the season to really grasp anything yet, but it's certainly a good statement, as we said before. Well, there probably was some time at the beach, maybe earlier today or yesterday when the team arrived, but there's no time for that now. We're back on the football pitch, and it's time for Newcastle to really cement their position as maybe some challengers of some kind. Maybe the title's a little bit out of their reach, but we all remember Leicester City's win in 2016, don't we? Something none of us will ever forget. Let's have a look at the Bournemouth side. Petrovic is in goal today, which will dedicate James Hill and Trivet in the defence, and of course the man behind Adlidi, I think, Justin Clivett. Keep an eye out for him, he always performs. Let's have a look at the Newcastle side. Nick Pope back in goal, with Dodo is back in the side with Kraft, Belletti and Lewis Hall today. Joe Williams, and Javier Guerra, who impressed on his debut. Anthony Gordon and Anthony Alonga are either side of Joshua Zirkzee, a man who's received a new lease of life, to be honest, really starting to settle in well to his new environment, and probably a much better one, and a much calmer one in terms of expectations. But he certainly hasn't scored lately, but he's certainly finding his feet again here at for Newcastle, predominantly at St James's Park, but here today I think it's the Vitality Stadium, and it's a very loud place, and of course this is the return to his former club, even though he has faced them a few times, of Eddie Howe, as he was once a manager of Bournemouth, and where he really set the stage for himself with what he was able to achieve with this team. Here's Joshua Zirkzee, and we were just saying how much of a new lease of life he has, and he almost scored another. Well, Eddie Howe, when he walked down the tunnel earlier, he received a massive standing ovation from the Bournemouth fans, even though it ended up eventually with him being relieved of his duties after a poor run of form at one point. These fans loved him, and they still do. They still thank him for everything that he did for them, bringing them back to the Premier League in the first place. And they have never forgotten how much he did just for this team alone. And now he's doing the same for Newcastle United, turning them into maybe some form of challenging for the future. And don't forget, Newcastle are the Carabao Cup holders, of course, from last season. Pope there was very lucky that deflection of Semenyo didn't result in a goal in the end there. And that was rather lucky. Dodo, who's been absolutely brilliant since coming over from Fiorentina. Him and Javier Guerra start again. But they really impressed on their debuts. There's Kraft making his first Newcastle start of the season. Cliburn. And Nick Pope had to think about that for a moment. Eddie Howe, he said, I don't think I'll have a bigger win than that in my career. I think the Carabao Cup would probably say otherwise, but at the end of the day, it's Paris Saint-Germain at their home ground. So I think that could definitely be a case for that spot. But as we said, the Carabao Cup final last season really put Eddie Howe among the winners bracket in terms of management. Finally. And you have to say, with the signings and the spending that Newcastle have spent this season in particular, most of through the sale of Isak, you have to say that they have to at least challenge for something now. I really think as long as they challenge, I think Eddie Howe will be fine in terms of job security. And he's done so much for this team, very much like he did for Bournemouth. But a challenge for anything would suffice just really well. And so far they're doing the business. Beating Paris Saint-Germain certainly is a statement of intent for challenging in the Champions League. Whether we'll get a win overall, you never know. And I think that's Mikel. I'm not sure who that is for Brentford, because it shows the first names, not the last names. But Brentford have taken the lead against Fulham. Ball into Willock. Guerra. And he's found Joshua Zirkzee with a lot of space. And Petrovic saves. Zirkzee probably could have gone a bit further in, to be fair, you could argue. He had a lot more space than he realised there. And that has been one of Newcastle's few weaknesses this season. They've not really been efficient on the ball. Sometimes wasteful passes and wasteful shots when you really don't have to, and that was the case for Zirkzee there. They've also been offside, it called offside a few times. Longer is the latest there. We have a terrible view there with the stand blocking the way. But we made up for it trying to get around. And we heard this "We Want More" chant, I think at the beginning of the game. It was sort of breaking out into a WWE SmackDown or Raw atmosphere there, which I found quite humorous. Adams shoots, it's come off Guillemars and out for a corner. One of the dreaded things in a Newcastle United shirt this season. Blocked there by Guillemars, to be fair. Made the effort to put his hands behind his back, not to concede handball. Oh, and headed there by another possible opportunity from a corner. It was headed into the ground. The man at the near post had it covered. I think he knew more about it than Tonali did when that happened. And another problem from a corner for Newcastle United. That's Aguilera. And it was offside. And that move breaks down. Oh, that's close. That's very close, to be fair. The right decision, because it was his toes, or half his foot. There's Adams. Adams again. Bristol. Shoot. It's come off Willock's arm, apparently. Free kick. Someone saying that was harsh. And Willock, to be fair, there's not a lot they could have done about it. Semenyo decides to play it short to Christie instead. Ayate to Semenyo, and it's a good save by Nick Pope. Hey! Obviously, Bournemouth sponsored by Vitality and their good old dog. or as me and the missus would call them now, pupa dogs, in a reference to our dog we had a few years ago. He was rehomed after all our recent moves we had over 2021 to 2023, and Ilanga scores after bursting down the wing again. It's another inside forward moment, very much a Bukayo Saka move from Bournemouth again, with the winger cutting in, and no one was catching Anthony Ilanga here. Xerxes was with him, didn't need him. Guerra was with him, didn't need him either. 1-0 to Newcastle United, and no one can deal with the speed of the pace that this team possesses at times. Anthony Ilanga's first goal of the season, and I believe his first goal in a Newcastle shirt as well. 1-0 to the Toon. As once again, Newcastle United fans are in dreamland. They can't believe how much they're scoring. Even without Alexander Isak, Newcastle United are still scoring an abundance of goals at a time. Semenya, he's rather trapped by Guerra. Baladi gets that away in the end. Gordon. Is Gordon cleared for takeoff? No. But now he will be. He's been picked out by Xerxes. And here we go again with Gordon. And it's saved by Petrovic. Oh, when Gordon takes off, he takes off. He's got so much pace about him. It's sensational, to be fair. Guerra. Howe. Guerra. The link-up play at times is absolutely sublime from Newcastle. They find each other effortlessly at times. There is a few wayward passes like that, which is probably a concern, but if you're winning, it's not really something you'll dwell over too much. It's a good ball. Tavernier now. The Bournemouth driven in low. Nick Pope sees it developing and gathers it up. So next for Newcastle United after today is their first game as holders of the Carabao Cup. They've been drawn against Exeter City for that one. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays out. Exeter City probably going as the underdogs to a degree. As is with cup competitions, they always provide fairy tale stories. Will be looking to make one of their own at that point. And I believe it's Arsenal, which will be a bit of a top of the table clash. That'll be a bit of a 6-pointer. Semenya gathered by Nick Pope. And another wayward throw by Nick Pope there, but Newcastle able to gather it. And here is Joe Willett. Going to Dodo. Dodo, I think his name is. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think we'll go with Dodo, actually. So Bournemouth get an extra point on a fan chart sponsored by a company that features the dog on their advertisements. So that earns Bournemouth a point. Dodo has got well there, or Dodo. Sorry, I keep pronouncing that wrong, I suppose. I think it's Dodo, because of course he is Brazilian. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ledry. Passing here from Newcastle United. And a sliding tackle commitment, and now they could punish them with Ilanga. And look at Javi Guerra. Look at Javi Guerra. Brilliantly done. And Xerxes has the score. Oh, it's so unfortunate. What wonderful play from Javi Guerra. He's really impressing in his opening games as a Newcastle United player. Exactly probably what they would have wanted. A real chasing player, a real engine room midfielder that chases and runs after every blade of grass. Tremendous stuff from Javi Guerra. A real Newcastle signing, a real gutsy player. Here's Joe Willett. Langer. There's Xerxes. Tried to turn. Turned into Deite instead. Well, I think it's fair to say Newcastle have had the better of this first half. Only slightly. And he definitely had the goal lead. Having a brilliant pass. Justin Kluivert cut out by Kraft. And Pope gets there again. He throws it out to a Bournemouth player, but luckily it ends up with Newcastle anyway. Guerra brilliantly again. He's picked out Langer again. And now he's going to cut inside again. Bournemouth don't learn. And Anthony Langer punishes them again. Javi Guerra yet again at the forefront of it. But Bournemouth didn't learn from the last time. Vintage Bukayo Saka. With that inside forward technique that Mikel Arteta gives him. Elanga does the same. 2-0 to Newcastle United. They look home and dry now. And Javi Guerra picked him out brilliantly again. Bournemouth 0, Newcastle United 2. And the Fatality Stadium is quiet. You can hear a pin drop because Newcastle arrived at United. And Bournemouth former manager Eddie Howe has arrived and taken his team to ribbons with fantastic movement and passing in the first half. Newcastle certainly worthy of their lead. Welcome back to the Fatality Stadium for the second half. This Premier League clash between Bournemouth and Newcastle United. It's been all Newcastle United in the first half. 2 goals from Anthony Elanga have given them a lead. And Bournemouth have it all to do if they're going to try and salvage something from this. Because Newcastle have been on tip-top form so far. Simeone with an early shot. And saved by Nick Pope again. He looks in that form, doesn't he, Nick Pope? At England #1 form. And good game going on at Craven Cottage. Brentford, I think, have taken a 2-1 lead. And that was a wicked shot that Kraft knew nothing about, but thankfully it got cleared up. As Dodo, unfortunately, has that pass a bit wayward. Kluivert, oh my! Nick Pope had to save it. Justin Kluivert, with that shot there, that was a wicked shot. And had some zing on it. And maybe that's Bournemouth's answer. Cook with the corner. Dieke. And Adi, and saved by Nick Pope that time. Newcastle able to deal with the corner. Not really get the ball first time themselves, but Guerra, another brilliant pass. Anthony Gordon picks out Xerxes with all the space in the world. 3-0. Newcastle United. Absolutely splendid. And it's another goal for Joshua Xerxes. The man has come alive. He left the sinking ship at Old Trafford. He found himself at St James's Park. And the kid's new lease of life is working. And Eddie Howe has continued to believe in him, giving him all the playing time he needs. And now he's starting to repay it back. But once again, Javi Guerra, a brilliant pass. I'll tell you something, Javi Guerra for me could be the signing of the season as far as Newcastle United are concerned. Because he has been absolutely tremendous in his first 2 games as a Newcastle United player. Pass again, time from Dodo. And we already know of Unai Simon being signed out of Paris Saint-Germain. Unfortunately, he was beaten 3 times by Nick Voldemade. who earned a hat-trick. Paris Saint-Germain certainly a highlight of his career. It's been way wide. And it's Justin Kluivert again. And Nick Pope certainly keeping the goals down. And Newcastle keep scoring them as well. Next for Bournemouth will be a trip to newly promoted Leeds United at Ellen Road. Oh, and Willock, he had to turn and he didn't really get all of the ball. Kraft gets it. The ball was pinging everywhere there. Dodo to Willock. And now Dodo. Dodo has a lot of pace himself. Oh, and Trufford has got there. He got the ball. That's a splendid tackle. And now, here come Bournemouth. I mean, Dodo was a big shot there. Oh, they wasted it. But Trufford, what a tackle. Splendid stuff. That's what you've got to do. Against Gordon and Dodo, they have a lot of pace between them. Here he is again. And he's starting to get a bit of a foothold in the game here. Kluivert. Again. Been rather wasteful in this game so far, Justin Kluivert. Patrick Kluivert there is a throwback. And it's a corner. Ball came off Guilmarish apparently. The referee's signaling for a corner. So here's Cook to take it. Delivers in and Deity! And is it over the line? It could be. It's been given. Avi Guerra did all his best there. That's really unfortunate. Well, Bournemouth deserve it. They fought hard. This could spur on a possible comeback, but this, well, Bournemouth had Newcastle United have had a lot of problems dealing with corners. This was another instance of that. Avi Guerra just couldn't keep it out. That's not on him. That is not on him at all. Eddie Howe, so disappointed that happened. But you cannot put that on Javi Guerra. Another problem from another corner for Newcastle United. It was well worked by Bournemouth, to be fair. And it did certainly go over the line. There was almost no debate about it. VAR have done a check. It certainly did. I don't think there's any debate about that, but Avi Guerra did his best there. He probably could have maybe gone more forward than back into his own net there. But again, I don't think you can really put it on him. And so Nick Pope has another poor throw. So, after about 5 games now, 6, 7, 8 and 9 if you count the Champions League game and the 3 pre-season games. So I think that's 8. Still no clean sheet for Newcastle United. He's down there and Trufford's tackled again. Tremendous. A fast Anthony Gordon caught up with him though. Gordon, Willock, Enrique Morales, Xerxes, beautiful, Willock, but it will shoot. Really unfortunate. More beautiful play from Newcastle though. Well, of all the goals Newcastle have conceded, and it's always been the odd 1 or 2, that is probably one of the most unlucky. Javi Guerra did brilliantly, but couldn't keep it out. But another goal from another set piece that Newcastle are really struggling with. And you have to feel... Oh, and Kluivert, wow. Kluivert having a shot from way out. Kluivert had to tip it over. Taverner who's making way for De Andrade. You have to feel that if Newcastle come up against Arsenal, then they're really going to struggle, because corners are Arsenal's expertise. Semenyo with this one, Ladry heads away. But it's certainly been a problem for Newcastle United, so yeah. Oh, Richarlison, formerly of Everton, joined Bournemouth now. Ledry pulls it away for another corner. And every time this happens, Newcastle fans get a bit nervous. Looks like Bournemouth could play this one short. They do. Trouble with the ball in. Diete again. Diakite with two, and it's from across this time. Bournemouth are attacking with aerial balls, and it's working. Good header. Nick Pope, probably not a lot he could do about that one. He was goodly positioned. He couldn't reach it. Probably could and maybe should have saved it for the sake of argument. But all of a sudden, Bournemouth are looking back in it. It's 3-2 now. And DKT is heading for fun. Well, a total collapse here from Newcastle United defensively. Avi Guerra, like the first goal you could probably forgive. But Newcastle have a lot of problems dealing with aerial ball movement. And Willock has gone down, and that could be a free kick. It's not. Looked a bit theatrical from where I was sitting, so I think that's the right decision, to be fair. Well, Bournemouth all of a sudden looked to have gained a second win. They looked out of it when they went 3-0 down earlier. And in the first half they were nowhere. Now all of a sudden they're right back in it. We've got a classic going here. Longer to Xerxes. Xerxes trying to get another. And it's a save by the keeper. All of a sudden Petrovic is actually doing well. It is amazing how sometimes the game can change from the halftime break. This is certainly one of those occasions. And Eddie Howe could be staring at a 2 points lost. Well, a few substitutions being drawn up for Newcastle here. Here's Kluivert. Kluivert has been really wasteful. You have to feel that Bournemouth probably would have had a five or six goals if Kluivert had actually been more on target. To be fair, Nick Pope has saved the majority of his shots in this afternoon's game, but not the headers. And speaking of Arsenal, wow, another shock result for Arsenal. They really are looking like title contenders. Hear this: Arsenal 1, Manchester City 0. Leandro Trossard. Is this finally Arsenal's year? They've seen off Liverpool, and now they're sitting off Manchester City and Newcastle with 6 and 7 to the back, but they have cleared it. Well, Newcastle just have to hold on for 8 more minutes. Here's Joshua Xerxes. A complete revelation. He's gone down. That's a penalty. Surely it is. The referee has given it. I think that's the right decision. And Newcastle finally have a chance to put this game beyond all doubt. Yeah, he's pushed him. Yeah. Clear penalty. But who will take it though? Avi Guerra is making way for Tonali. I feel maybe he would be the ideal candidate. I think he's more on free kicks though. Well, it's I think it's between Xerxes, Gulamales and Gordon, but it's going to be Joshua Xerxes then. Oh, what a save by Petrovic! What a save! It's a splendid save. Joshua Xerxes hit it well enough. Oh my goodness. And now it's a Newcastle corner. Oh, how costly could that prove to be? Petrovic grabs it. And that'll give Bournemouth some confidence now. And here they come. Here's Clivert. Fulham and Brentford 2-2. Is that Matty Cash that has scored there? Formerly of Aston Villa. And the referee is pointing to the spot. It's a Bournemouth penalty kick. I missed it completely. Apparently, Guru Morales had his arm round a player's neck. Penalty given. An absolute late drama here. Justin Clivert, who's not had a good game against Nick Pope all afternoon long, has scored it. Well, that was very much unexpected. And Justin Clivert has equalised for Bournemouth. It's 3-3. What an unprecedented turn of events here. Newcastle at home and dry. But once again, they struggle with conceding shots and goals. It's a good penalty by Clivert, to be fair, because Pope goes the right way. And it's all sorts of flickering going on. Well, I'm not really sure where the penalty was given. I'm assuming it was Bruno Morales who had his arm all over. I think it was maybe Clivert, probably round his neck. He wasn't like holding him or anything. It was really just to put him off. It really wasn't malicious, which is obviously why he wasn't booked for it. But oh my goodness, absolute drama here. I'll have to see that again because I'm not really sure why that was given. And Newcastle, this is going to be 2 points dropped. They played so well. Xerxes and Petrovic has been an absolute hero in the second half, to be fair. Wow, the tables have turned. It's the world of football for you. Absolute drama then. 3-3. Gordon with the corner. Petrovic was diving in air. Well, I think that penalty might be a bit contentious, to be fair. But either way, Bournemouth deserve it for playing on and not letting their heads drop at 3-0 down. Bournemouth continue to fight. Petrovic all of a sudden became inspired and saved everything, including a penalty for Joshua Xerxes. This, despite Newcastle's brilliant play, is probably going to be the worst result of the season so far, because it's a 3-0 lead, completely dropped. Javi Guerra with the first goal was unlucky, but the second... Oh, Evelinson, it's a free kick to Newcastle United. That could have been absolute curtains. What is going on? Newcastle United have just absolutely switched off. Nick Pope, yet again, wasteful. And is Nick Pope feeling the pressure of an up-and-coming James Trafford behind him, do you think? Because this is very unlike him. I mean, it was a good penalty for Justin Clivert, and Javi Guerra was really unlucky not to clear it. But once again, Newcastle struggling with aerial balls and corners. This is not a game that Newcastle really should have lost. This will be a disappointing loss for draw for sure. It's not a loss, thankfully, but this is 2 points dropped. They had a 3-0 lead, don't forget. Credit Bournemouth for the effort in this second half in particular, because they could have so easily let their heads drop from 3-0 down and just moved on to the next game. They decided to fight this one out, and they are going to be duly rewarded with a point. Newcastle United, it's not been a poor performance by any means from Newcastle United. Here comes Gordon though. Oh, he tried to whip it in. And that's the end of the game here at the Vitality Stadium. A game that had been completely flipped on its head, with Bournemouth coming down from 3 goals down to draw 3-3. What happened to Newcastle United leading comfortably and just wasn't able to convert the penalty for Joshua Xerxes? It was a good save by Petrovic, to be fair. It wasn't that Newcastle played badly, not in my opinion. I think Bournemouth just really fought hard and were duly rewarded. This is a 0.1 for Bournemouth and 2 points very much dropped for Newcastle United. It's 3 after a classic here. So let's have a look at all the other scores then. Arsenal did hold on to that 1-0 lead at the top, so they will go back to the top, I think, as a result, because Bournemouth did fight to get the point back. They were second, I think, at one point, so I think Arsenal took the lead back because City were top by a point, weren't they? So that puts Arsenal back at the top then. Fulham 2, Brentford 2, Liverpool 3, Everton 4 in the Merseyside derby, an absolute classic there. at Anfield. Brighton 2, Spurs 3. That'll help Spurs out. Sunderland lose again as they're struggling. 3-0 loss to Aston Villa. West Ham United 1, Palace 2. Wolves 0 as they lose again as well. Leeds 1. Vital result there. And Manchester United lose again with still only 1 point from their opening games to Chelsea. Burnley losing to Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0 as Postecoglou is starting to click over there. So, let's have a look at the table in just a second. Big clash coming up next to the Premier League as it's a battle of the top 3. Arsenal now ahead on goal difference again because Chelsea have actually emerged as a title challenger. They're level with Arsenal for first and second. Newcastle still third despite the draw. I think they go back ahead of Bournemouth on goal difference, I think. I'm not sure how that works. But City's loss, obviously, has compounded matters a little bit. Spurs 6th, followed by Palace, Aston Villa, Fulham, Leeds United, now 10th. Looking good for them, isn't it? Forest and Burnley 12th. Everton now up to 13th with their win in the Merseyside derby. Liverpool down to 15th now. Brighton in trouble. I don't know what's happened since they won at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Manchester United, absolutely woeful. But somehow Wolves are worse with 0 points. And Sunderland have also scored 1 as well. But Manchester United, a big shock, or maybe not. Wolves, although, are even worse.